Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have the new Natasha Denona Golden Collection. I have all three products in the collection, so the eyeshadow palette, the highlighter palette and the lip gloss. We're going to try on today and also going to compare this beautiful golden palette. Look at this beautiful palette. I hope you can see it. I'm filming in natural daylight, so the light is a bit shiny today. But look at this beautiful palette. So this is the new and elevated version of this one, the gold palette. That is the original palette. So here you have this one of the bigger palettes compared to the new one. There's a midi-size palette. But I'm going to try this collection on my face today and doing some swatches and comparisons to both the gold palette, the old one, and compare it to some of the other palettes just to put it in a context where you can see that it's not that warm tone that you maybe would expect. It's pretty neutral and brown golden palette. I think it's a great name. It's not a gold palette, but it's more golden. So yeah, but before we jump into trying this on, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome. If you're returning, also very much welcome to you. Glad to see you back, and please feel free to give the video a like and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. So the packaging for this palette is, they do come, for this collection, they do come in this beautiful golden packaging. I don't know if you can see it or if you're getting blinded by the light, but very beautiful golden packaging. I wanted to show the back side to you so you can see the ingredients, but I think it's too shiny, so I don't think it makes any sense. So these items retails for $69 for the eyeshadow palette and $55 for the highlighter and $29 for the lip gloss. So let's start looking at the lip gloss, Golden Glimmer Gloss it's called. So there you have the swatch. It's actually not that golden. It's more like it gives a glass skin or a very glowy look. Let's put them on the lips and see what they do or what it does. It does have a little bit of smell, not strong or anything. It's a nice amount that the doe foot applicator leaves on the lips, not too much or anything, just great amount. So this is a plumping lip gloss. And I would say I don't feel any tingling at all right now. The smell is very subtle, but it's nice. I like it. It's a little bit coconutty, so it does give a summer vibe, I would say. But again, on the lips, you don't see any golden particles or anything. It just gives your lips a nice just a nice shine to the lips. Let's move on to this beautiful highlighter package. So here you have it. 3 shades. It's very beautiful. And I think Natasha Denona, she always has very beautiful packaging. And if you have seen any of my previous videos, you would know that I'm a Natasha Denona fan, so I'm very excited about this. So I had my doubts in regards to pick up this highlighters palette, because I just picked up the two Hydrating face brighteners, I think they're called, but I couldn't resist this. I think it's so pretty. So we have 3 shades: Pearl, Sunglow, and Bronze. So Pearl is the lightest shade, and then Sunglow the middle shade, and Bronze. And it says here on the back of the product that if you want an intense glow, you can apply the highlighter with a finger. And if you want a more natural glow, you can apply it with a damp makeup sponge. And for strobing, use a brush to buff the highlighter into the skin for an all-over strobing effect. But let's give these a swatch. So it's the first time I'm even touching these. I wanted to try these on this video together with you. But they feel very smooth and almost a little bit creamy. So there you have the 3 shades. So Pearl, Sunglow, and Bronze. Very, very pretty. I just wanted to give a quick comparison to these, the latest highlighters, the skincare infused glow beautifiers. I got the shade 01 and 02, so light and medium. So the light one, I want to swatch next to Pearl. Okay, so they are not the same. The light one in the glow beautifiers is more pink in the undertone. It's also more creamy when you apply it. It does feel more like a cream product. So you can see that the shade Sun Glow from the trio, the new Golden Collection, it's more warm, and it's also a little deeper. And again, these product, it's a little bit more creamy. So not the same, but these two are not too far away from each other. This one, the shade light, it's more unique compared to the Pearl shade. So that was just because these are the latest release of highlighters. I just wanted to give you a quick comparison, but not the same. Okay, so by looking at the swatches, I think that the Pearl shade is going to be too light for me, but let's try these on the face anyway. So I'm going to start with the lightest shade and try this on this side. Whoa, it's very impactful. Let's see if we can. I don't know if you can see it, but when you apply this, it's very impactful. But if you kind of go over it with your finger, it does blend more into the skin, and it just, actually I would say that I can use this shade. It's not too light as I feared, but I think I'm going to need to tap it into the skin, because otherwise I think it looks like it's sitting a little bit on top of the skin, and I don't like that. So like this, it does give a very beautiful glow, and when you're tapping it in, it does become more subtle, but still with a very, very beautiful luminosity to the skin, but it doesn't look like you have anything sitting on the skin. That is very beautiful. So let's try the Sun Glow, the middle shade. And we're just going to apply this on top and also a little bit above the brow. So a beautiful shade for me at this time of year. But I will say that for me, I think the best way to apply it is to, when you have applied it with the brush, then go over it to tap with your fingers, because I think it, for me anyway, in my skin, mature skin, I do have texture, I do have fine lines. I think it sits a little bit on the top of the skin when you apply it with the brush, but when you tap over it with your finger, it's like it's melting beautiful into the skin, and it's just leaving, it is very impactful, and it does leave quite a beautiful glow and quite glowy, as I hope you can see. But I think when you tap it into the skin with the fingers, it does really melt into the skin. It doesn't emphasize texture. You can avoid glowy products to emphasize your texture until a certain level, but this doesn't emphasize texture more than you would expect. And of course, I wouldn't use it in the center area where I have large pores. So just on these classic highlighter areas, beautiful, very beautiful. And actually, just to mention this one again, in my May favorites, I mentioned that this disappointed me a little bit because I had a hard time to kind of buff this into the skin. But I just figured out that if I'm putting this on my skin, and then afterwards, exactly what I'm doing now, if I'm tapping over it with my fingers, then it kind of melts into the skin. I don't know if it's the warmth from the fingers or anything that's kind of melting it into the skin. And then this one is beautiful, and I'm really starting to enjoy this product more. And I feel that it's the same with this product, that you can work it into the skin and it's kind of melting a little bit like a cream product. So let's try the bronze shade, the dark shade, and I think I want to try this as a glowy blush. So I'm just going to tap this on my cheeks, and this does come off pretty strong. But you know what? This color can easily be used as a glowy blush, so you can get some use out of it, because that's also a consideration you have when you buy a product like this, where you have 3 highlighters in 3 different shades. You don't want to buy an expensive product like this and then you can maybe only use 1 or maybe 2 of the shades. So you can use this. You can use all 3 shades if you are about the same skin tone as I am. So for my taste, I think that I went a little too heavy-handed with the bronze shade. So I'm trying to see if I can tone it down a little bit with a damp beauty blender. But also at the same time, I want to make sure that this comes across the camera, that you can see it. Okay, so you can tone it down a little bit, but it's still, I still have very glowy cheeks. But I do really think that this trio is very beautiful, and these highlighters blend beautifully into the skin, and you can definitely use these also with mature skin and structure and fine lines and all that beautiful stuff we are got going on our skin. So here you have it, very beautiful for summertime. And you can also use this on the eyes. It would also be very beautiful. I'm not going to do that now because I want to put on the palette on the eyes. And still with the lip gloss, I haven't felt any tingling like you normally would with a plumping lip gloss. Let's apply a bit more. No tingling at all, so you don't have to fear that. Okay, let's have a look at this beautiful palette. Very beautiful, very neutral brown and with a pop of gold. There's this one golden shade. I haven't touched these shades yet, or these eyeshadows yet. I have been waiting for showing you the palette untouched so you can see how beautiful it is. And also the packaging, very beautiful. So as with these Natasha Denona palettes, I always think that they are much prettier in real life than when you see them on the campaigns, but very beautiful. So I want to swatch this palette and swatch it next to the gold palette so you can see the comparisons. So I'm just going to make the swatches and on my arm, and then I'll be back. So I have made the swatches of the two palettes, trying to compare the new golden palette with the old gold palette. So let's just have a look at these up close, see if I can, like this. So you can see this one is more subtle, more neutral, more maybe golden, and this is more gold. So let's have a look at the swatches. I have tried to swatch the new shades in the golden palette alone, and then I have swatched the colors that are the same colors as in the gold palette together, so you can compare them. So you have the first shade is called Melico, and then you have the Nubia shade and Pana. It's not that easy to see, but I hope you can see it. Very neutral shade. Then we have Fizzy, very beautiful topper shade. Then this light shimmery shade here is Aura. And then we have the color Flesh. And this shimmer is Alchemist. And then I have swatched some of the shades that are the same. And we have Aria. I just wanted to be sure. Yes, Aria. And then we have Varys, Teak, Cava, Sandstone, Aurum, Log, and Oro, the gold shade. As you can see, they are pretty similar. So I would say that you can see a difference in the gold shade. It's more gold, it's more yellow gold in the old gold palette. But other than that, I think that they are pretty similar. Maybe Log is a little bit more intense, but they are pretty similar. So if you have the gold palette, you probably don't need the golden palette because you more or less have the same. There's a few new colors in the new golden palette, and also some of the new formulas with the sparkling wet finish and the sparkling topper finish. But then in this gold palette you have these teals and mustard greens, teals and greens that you don't have in the new palette. So for me this one has always been a very favorite palette, and it has been a palette that I have been using both on an everyday basis because you have all these neutrals, and also I have pulled this out for a few New Year's Eve parties and parties for the gold and teal shades. And even though this gold palette is old, mine is I think about 6 years old or something, it's still doing very well. And when I swatched these, I could feel that a few of the shades in the gold palette did feel a little bit more creamy than the shades in the new palette. But I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, because I could feel that the shades in the new palette were more like finely milled, or I don't know, they felt very nice and very high quality as well. So I just think that she has during all these years been working with her formula, and I don't think that the new formula you're going to miss out on anything. It's just a different formula. But yeah, they are very similar in like the biggest part of the palette, and then you have a few new shimmer and wet formulas and a few of the more lighter shades. So, and instead of the teals and greens, so that's the difference. So I just wanted real quick to compare this palette to a couple of the other Natasha Denona palettes that I own. And this is the bronze palette. And just for a reference, you can see that the golden palette is much more neutral brown and not very warm. We have the glam palette. As you can see, much more neutral, cool toned, and a little bit more gray pink, if you can say that. So not similar as well, but still shows that the golden palette is very neutral. So I just wanted really quick to compare it to the Bobbi palette, one of the bigger palette, but also, as you can see, the golden palette is, I hope you can see it, but the golden palette is also compared to the Bobbi much more neutral, neutral brown, where you have some more warms and red tones in the Bobbi palette. Hi, I don't know what happened, but for some reason I didn't have the camera turned on. So I started to add eyeshadow on one eye, this eye, and what I said is that I wanted to create 2 looks just to make sure to use so many of the colors to show you. So what I did was I started with the color Flesh in my crease, swiping it across the crease, and I like to bring it up to my eyebrow, and then I used the shade Lock, the deepest shade, to deepen up the outer corner, and then I have blended it out really well. Yeah, so that was as far as I got before I noticed that the camera wasn't turned on, so I'm sorry for that. But then I wanted to continue with the shade Varies, which is the deepest shimmer shade. Very beautiful shade, a shade I have used a lot from the gold palette, and I love to use it as a one and done eyeshadow. It's just so beautiful. And I'm adding this to the outer third of my eyelid, the mobile eyelid. So such a pretty shade. And I'm just using my fingers with the shimmer shades. That's what I always do. So I want to use the gold shade because that is the shade that I probably use the least in the gold palette. I don't know why, I'm just not drawn to that yellow gold color, because I love golden tones, but not the very yellow ones. But let's put this on the eyelid. So I'm putting this on the other half or 2/3 of the eyelid, making sure to blend it very nicely together with the Varys shade. Going back into the Varys shade and just tapping that a little bit on the outer corner just to make sure that it doesn't disappear entirely under the gold shade. And then making sure that they are blended nicely together. So it is actually a very pretty shade. I don't know why I don't gravitate that much towards it. Then I took the Flesh shade and added a little bit under my lower lash line. And I want to use this Refer 29. It's just a small eyeliner brush, just to take that log shade, the darkest shade, and use it as a liner as close to the lashes, and then just create, not a wing because I can't make a wing on my very hooded eyes, but I'm just like making a tiny wing on the outside, on the very corner on the eye, just to give it tiny lift like that. So it's not really a wing, it's just like I'm smudging a little bit out and upwards on the outer corner, just to give it a little bit of that dimension. And I also want to put a little bit on the outer third of the lower eyelid, and then I'm going out and up just to help the eye getting lifted as much as possible, because I really need that. And just smudging that out a little bit so it's not too harsh. So like that. And then we're going back into the big fluffy blender brush, and I'm always just blending a little bit up and in on the outer corner, just to make sure that the last part I did on the eye is nice and blended. So yeah, this is actually a very nice look, and you can easily use this on an everyday basis. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. I must say that there's a couple of these topper shades that I'm really thinking are beautiful. I think I want to try that Aura shade on top of that yellow gold, just to see how it looks as a topper, just in the middle of the eye. And that shade also have like a yellow undertone in it, so even though it's lighter, it's still in the same range of colors with that yellow. It does make it pop a little bit more, but still, I think in a subtle way. I hope you can see the colors on these creased eyelids. On the other lid, I'm drawn to that Mliko shade and the Nubia shade. I want to try them on, so I'm just going to wipe down my brushes, and then we're going to start with the Panna shade for the crease. That is the lightest shade there, and you can see it doesn't really show up on my eyelid. So I think this is just a great shade for me to use all over the lid and kind of prep the lid a little bit so you can see it doesn't really show up. So very natural shade on my skin tone. So I'm going into the shade Sandstone. It's a little bit deeper in the pan anyway, so let's see if I can use this as a crease shade. Yes. So you can see this shade does show up on me, Sandstone. And again, very easy to blend. And I'm blending upwards into my eyebrows, and I can't really explain why I'm doing that. I've just seen Natasha Denona and a lot of makeup artists doing that. So, and I kind of like the effect it does give. So Sandstone is also a very light color on me, so I think I'm going to try a Teak. It's a little bit deeper. Let's try that in the crease as well. Does show up a little bit more. And also taking it up to the eyebrow. I'm going back into that log shade, the darkest shade, just to give a little bit of depth and dimension on that outer corner of the eye. And I'm actually just sweeping it across, or kind of pressing it into the outer corner. And so it's like this. And then I like to go into a fluffy blending brush and just pulling it inwards. So I do also blend it out into the crease, but not too much, and blending on the eyelid a little bit as well. So it's just like a very subtle way to deepen up your outer corner, and I think it does give a very daytime friendly look. And then we're going into the color Teak to put on the lower lash line. And when I go into the lower lash line, I always go out and upwards at the end, just to make sure that I'm lifting my eye as much as possible. But very pretty color. And I'm also just going to blend out a little bit under the eye, like that. Okay, and then I want to go into that Malico shade. It's that very first shade, very light shade. And I'm going to brighten up my inner corner. That's very impactful even for such a light color. And I'm going to use this, dragging it up like this to open up the eye. And I'm going to bring this on the lid as well, blending it into that log shade in the outer corner, like this. So it's a very light and bright eye. And then I want to go in with that Nubia shade on top. I really think that looks like a shade that is going to be a favorite shade of mine, just on top of the Malico shade, leaving the inner corner free and make sure I blend it into the outer corner. So like that. It's very, very beautiful. You can also add these with or apply these with a wet brush. That should make the colors pop even more. But I like the effect that this gives. So I'm just going into Sandstone shade, just a little dip, and doing the same, like just run this over my crease, just to make sure that everything is nice and blended. And then I'm taking the clean blender brush and also do the same. And I actually think that I forgot to add an inner corner shade on that eye, so I'm going into that aura shade, the other light but more shimmery shade, and I'm just adding this with my finger. That's very beautiful. So I hope you can see that there is a difference on these two looks, a very yellow gold and a more light and sparkly eye. I hope you can see it on these small eyelids. So I'm just going to finish up with my mascara and a little bit of powder on the face and a little bit of setting spray, and then I will return with my final thoughts. So I finished up my makeup, added some mascara and some of my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Setting Spray and setting powder. So as you can see, I don't know what you think about the look and if you can see the difference on the two eyes. But I think I got very beautiful glowy skin and I like the eye looks, both of them. I think it's very beautiful. Let's start with the Golden Glimmer gloss. So I put this on my lips. It's about 40 minutes ago. I put it on in the beginning of the video, as you saw, and I still have a little bit of gloss on, and my lips feels nice and hydrated, and I do actually use a lot of lip balm throughout the day, so that's a nice feeling. I think it's a little bit expensive, $29 for this product. You do get a lot of product in this, 3 mils or 0.169 I think it says, but anyways, it's a nice size. The packaging is nice, it's not anything extremely luxurious feeling, so you know, the product, it's nice, it smells good, it's cute. Then I'm going to use it, but if you have a nice shiny gloss, then I don't know, $29, you decide what do you want to spend your money on. But it's beautiful. Then the highlighter trio, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised because I feared that I would only be able to use the middle shade, but the way you can use these on the cheeks is actually very beautiful, and they blend very nicely, especially when you tap your fingers over it. And I really think I have nice, beautiful, glowy skin. So I really like it. I think it's very beautiful. And it is also a very interesting formula. So new and interesting formula. I think this is beautiful. If you're in the market for a highlighter, then I can definitely recommend this. Very beautiful. And with the eyeshadow palette, there's always so much hype about these Natasha Denona palettes when they launch, and I totally get it because I'm also a big Natasha Denona fan, and I really think this is beautiful, and I'm very happy to have this in my collection, and I know that this is a color story that I'm going to use a lot. So for me, I'm very happy to have it. But also I will say that if you have a neutral brown colored palette with these shimmers and in different tones, a little bit lighter, a little bit golden, a little bit deeper, like the various shade, like a brownish. It's almost like it has a little bit of a red undertone, this shade, but it's such a beautiful one and done shade also. But again, if you have a neutral palette, then maybe you don't need this. Of course, this Natasha Denona quality, it is outstanding. It's a very good quality. But you know, I will recommend this collection. I think it's very beautiful, but I think, you know, it's not a limited edition collection, so you don't have to run out. You have time to consider what do you need and what do you have in your collection. But if you you are in the market for something, then I can really recommend this. They are beautiful. So for me, it's a win. I'm very happy to have it. So I hope this review helped you to decide in your own purchase considerations. And I hope I help you. I hope you like the review. And if you like this video, I hope you will consider to subscribe and hit the like button and the notification button. And I really hope to see you again in the next one. Please let me hear from you. Please leave your comments. What are your thoughts about this? And hope to see you in the next one. Bye.